Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about gendered sports and why it's important. So basically, I was debating if I want to do a grandstand day or not, but I figured I would because I was reading some stuff here a minute ago about USA powerlifting and them basically trying to force dudes to compete against women now is what it is, and it's fucking ridiculous, dude. It really is. Honestly, it's fucking clown world in this country anymore, dude, and I'm sick and tired of it. And I think a lot of other people are too, for that matter. And the fact of the matter is, there's a reason why you have two different sports teams. There's a reason why you have gendered sports, etc. And it's because you are trying to have an ability for females to be able to compete at their own level and biological males to compete at their own level, is what it is. And the problem with it is, and I'm not saying that there's every single fucking, sport across the board, you're going to have an advantage because of biology and stuff like that. There's a couple you won't, obviously. Um, and when I say sports, I don't just mean like act like okay. So let's go ahead and define sports for that matter. There is a big difference between like activity sports like football, baseball, basketball, stuff like that, and basically things like chess. For instance, I could consider a sport at that point, like or a tabletop game like Magic the Gathering or something like that. Like, do you really have any biological advantage because of being born male or female or whatever the case be? No, you don't really. Um, it just depends on how good you are at the game, legitimately. The thing of it is, though, when you do start looking at, actual, like, everyday sports, like whether it be track and field or whether it be, you know, football, basketball, whatever the case be, there's going to be distinct advantages between males and females. Obviously, we've seen that firsthand when it came to, you had this couple of guys there in, I forget if it was Connecticut or if it was Massachusetts or where it was at with that Selena Soul girl and the other chicks, where you basically had two biological black males who couldn't fucking hack it at actually competing against the guys in the male track and field. So you had one the one year decide, oh, I'm a girl now after going through full male puberty, not going on any kind of estrogen or anything else like that after the fact, because they know for a fact they'd be disqualified, by the way. That's the whole point entirely. It's the same thing with that motherfucker that called themselves Leah Thomas and the swimming and stuff like that. You had that fucking guy go and basically not be able to hack it at men's, uh, various swim meets and stuff like that because they were like 500th or something like that. To now all of a sudden they went and competed against females while not being on any kind of actual, drugs, because the drugs would automatically disqualify you based on the fact they come up positive in drug testing, is what it is. And, you know, went around and acted like they were a fucking chick and beat the shit out of a bunch of girls at swimming and stuff like that. To where now you have it coming out in the next last probably 2-3 months now that not only were all these females that were actually on the female team there pissed off about it because you had some dude fucking swinging his dick around in the female locker room. You had actual NCAA and other people like that were like, yeah, this is fucking ridiculous. We know it's fucking ridiculous, but you know what? We're gonna do it anyway. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what in the fuck? Seriously. It's absolute insanity. And what's even more disgusting is, as far as I'm aware, you had, going back to the track and field thing, you had Selena Soul and all those chicks basically lose in some court battle. I forget if it was the Supreme Court of the state that they were in, or if it was like some circuit court of appeals, or whatever the case be. I feel like it hasn't gone through an actual SCOTUS ruling yet, though. Like, I think that's the last thing they could do at this point. But the whole point entirely is it's fucking ridiculous to have these people be fucked over like that when you're talking about, obviously, the chicks there with in Selena's case and stuff like that. You had all these girls that should have gotten college scholarships and stuff like that for track and field and whatnot. And now you had two biological dudes come in there. One come in there, like, I think it was either sophomore or junior year, and then the other one come in senior year is what it was. and you had them basically compete against each other for 1 and 2, and fuck all these actual biological females out of the ability to ever get actual scholarships. Is what it is. And the worst part of it is, then you have all these people going out there and competing and breaking actual female records when they're not females. What it is, dude. You have biological males competing in female sports, breaking an actual female's record at things, and then being listed in a record book now is what it is. It's fucking ridiculous entirely. So, and I would actually say the same thing when it comes to wrestling, for that matter. That's why I hate Nyla Rose so much, dude. Because it's a fucking biological male beating the hell out of a bunch of fucking females in AEW right now. And yet apparently Tony Khan has no problem with that. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck, dude? Seriously, it's fucking disgusting. And it just absolutely is fucking infuriating. But thank God they finally got rid of that motherfucker for the most part. It seems like they're kind of relegated to like the online shows now, it seems like, anyway. Or if they're on like one of the main shows or whatever, it's like every once and again now. So, but yeah, the whole thing is just like, it's just fucking ridiculous is what it is. But we're going to go ahead and read this article here about powerlifting and stuff like that. Because this was the whole point of this video today, which is going to be a short one. It's probably going to be another 5 minutes or so. It says, female powerlifter outrage that court is forcing USA Powerlifting to allow trans athletes to compete against women. So what they really mean is allow biological males to compete in women's powerlifting. It says, natural-born female powerlifting competitor says she is outraged and hurt that a Minnesota judge is forcing USA Powerlifting to allow biological men to compete against women. Canadian powerlifter April Hutchinson spoke to Fox News' Tucker Carlson on Wednesday and blasted the court order forcing USA Powerlifting to lift its ban on transgender, quote, women competing against actual biological women. We're outraged, we're angry, we're hurt, we're offended, we're basically every emotion except for happy, April said. She added that her fellow female competitors are fearful of speaking out against this outrage because of cancel culture leftists. Yeah, and that's exactly why they win, dude, most of the time. Because you sit there and you'll speak out about it, and you got all these fucking leftist douchebags, your Antifa-type terrorists and stuff like that out there. They're like, oh, let's go fucking dox these people and basically destroy their lives is what it is. And any kind of actual job they have otherwise, for that matter. It's fucking disgusting, dude, and it needs to be ended immediately. And actually, it could be ended immediately if they actually just made doxing a felony in all states in this country right now, honestly, dude. So, anyways. Where are we at now? Yeah, said fearful of cancel culture leftists, but she is not afraid to speak out and says she is told by many that they support her efforts to raise awareness of this issue. Said there was times where I couldn't sleep at night. I've been battling this for about 2 years now. Women are coming out saying, thank you so much for standing up for women in sports. A lot of women are silenced and feel silenced that they have no voice or they're afraid to speak up in fear of maybe getting kicked out of the federation, to be called names for backlash. But no, we're growing stronger and louder, and the amount of support is overwhelming, actually. And see, this is the problem I have right here with this whole thing. Like, they're saying, oh, we're afraid to speak out because we might get booted out or whatever the case be. Then sue the fuck out of the federation if they try to boot you out of it, dude. Like, that's what we are as a country now. Seriously, dude. America, over the decades, especially for the last, 10, 15 decades now is what it is, we've become a nation of litigation. And we should be at this point. Because if you're going to deny someone the ability to compete in an actual sport that they have the fucking biological right to be in because they're speaking out about a fucking dude trying to take their place in the sport, fuck that dude. No. You sue the shit out of the fucking powerlifting organization there. And if nothing else, and the lawsuit's finished, you have part of the fucking lawsuit deal being that you now own the fucking sport is what it is, dude. You now own the federation is what it is then. Because that's what it should be. It should be one of those kind of like employee-owned things is what it is, dude, for real. So, anyway. Moving back. It says, the court order comes on the heels of a court win for 34-year-old transgender powerlifter J.C. Cooper, who sued USA Powerlifting over its trans ban. And that right there, I'm sorry, but that shit right there, dude, That dude should have been told to go fuck off and eat shit, honestly. And I'm gonna say it like it is, dude. Be like, no, Cooper, go fuck yourself. You're a biological male. Go compete against fucking men, you douchebag. Or don't lift at all, asshole. And that's the problem right there. I guarantee that this dude tried to compete against other males and fucking failed miserably, is what it is, because they're fucking beta as shit, I'm guessing, dude. And that's why they want to go in there and be Randy Savage against fucking chicks, is what it is, dude. And it's fucking bunch of bullshit, is what it ends up being. Anyway, so Cooper launched a nearly 5-year campaign to force powerlifting organization to dump its ban and begin sending demanding letters and suing the sport in 2019 after a sports authority denied his bid to compete as a woman. So Cooper filed a lawsuit in state court in 2021 and now has won against the organization based on the Minnesota state anti-discrimination law that maintains he can compete under, quote, chosen gender. Fuck that, dude. And this is, again, like, and this is what's funny to me, right? Okay, so you say that, they say that about, Minnesota, and it's like basically state right is what it is. From my understanding, and everybody has told me in fucking state government here in Ohio, every time we talk about states' rights for guns, they're all like, oh no, fucking federal government trumps state government, dude. Okay, so how the fuck does federal government not trump state government here? Would that be the case, dude? Because federally, we don't allow that bullshit? Just saying. It's a bunch of crap entirely, man. It really is. So, anyways. Yeah, it really is just a bunch of bullshit, dude. All the way around. But, anywho, it said, Cooper says he transitioned to become a woman back in 2014, and then he takes an anti-anagen drug that subsequently decreases his testosterone. Doesn't matter, dude. You still have fucking bone density and everything else like that. You can still lift a hell of a lot more, motherfucker. This dude even still looks like a fucking man. See, this is the problem I have with these people. If you want to sit there and act all fucking transgendery and stuff like that, dude, or want to be a woman or whatever the case be, dude, then take the fucking money and get the fucking surgery so that you can look more like fucking females at that point, dude. We get feminine surgery and stuff like that is what it is. If you're not willing to go that far, you're not really transgender, is what it is. So, and then of course you got that fucking nutcase bitch from General Hospital talking about DeSantis acting like Hitler by removing pornographic books from schools. Yeah, Nancy's a fucking leftist nut for a while now, dude. And honestly, I guarantee the only reason that GH hasn't fired her ass or ABC hasn't called for her immediate termination is because she's such an integral part of that fucking soap opera series, is what it is, dude. So, anyway. Continuing on with the rest of this article, though, it said late last month, District Court Judge Patrick Diamond, who should have been disbarred, by the way, appointed to the bench by, quote, liberal Democrat governor Mark Dayton in 2012, ruled in favor of Cooper's attack on USA powerlifting, quote, by denying Cooper's right to participate in female category, the category consistent with his identification. I'm going to call it like it is, motherfucker, because fuck you, Patrick Diamond. Said USAPL denied him the full and equal employment of these services, support, and facilities. USAPL offered its members, Diamond wrote in the ruling, it separated Cooper and segregated him, and in doing so, failed to fully perform the contractual obligations it agreed to when it accepted Cooper's money and issued Cooper a membership card. Then give him back his fucking money and take away his membership card. How hard is that, dude? Seriously. Said USA Powerlifting said it has banned trans athletes because fairness and safety concerns. Our position has been aimed at balancing the needs. See, this is the problem I have with this fucking statement entirely. Balancing the needs of, quote, cis and transgender women. There's no such thing as cisgender, you dumb motherfuckers. There is straight. Because if you actually look into the whole cis terminology, it's nothing more than an insult and a slap in the face of straight people is what it is, dude. It's an act. I forget which nation's term that actually was originally, but it literally meant like sissified person or some bullshit like that or something along those lines. Like it was very discriminatory is what it is, dude. And it very much is a fucking slander insult is what it is, dude. But yeah, I'm gonna say this like this though. It's that the powerlifting people said Their position is balancing the needs of real women and transgender women whose capabilities differ significantly in purely strength sports. USA powerlifting president Larry Mall said in a statement, according to Fox News. So the judge, though, cited an increased risk of depression and suicide, lack of access to coaching and practice facilities, or other performance suppression common to transgender persons as competitive disadvantages for transgender athletes. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Patrick Diamond, you fucking douchebag. I have fucking had it with these people, dude. I really have. I've had it with these activist ass judges. I've had it with these fucking activist ass pieces of shit like this, dude. It's a bunch of crap, dude. It's a bunch of bullshit. The end game is because pieces of shit like J.C. Cooper know that they can't fucking hack it against actual biological men, so they want to go into some fucking sport with a woman, or multiple women for that matter, and dominate that fucking sport. That's all it is, dude. That's all this shit has always been about. That's what it is. And that's and the thing that sucks is, yeah, it doesn't hurt a couple people here and there. Yes, it does. But you know what? Tough fucking shit, kids. Life ain't fucking fair. And that's the entire point. Life has never been fair. You think life was fair to me for the past 38 years of my fucking life? Hell no, dude. I got shit on medically since I was fucking 18 years old, bro. Over 20 years of my fucking life now. I have been fucked with because of Big Pharma, and I have no legal recourse against those fucking cocksuckers. You think that doesn't piss me off every day that I'm not a multimillionaire based on multiple fucking lawsuits against Big Pharma? Hell yes, it fucking pisses me off. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, dude. And that's what I'm saying, Tough titties, go drink some milk and cookies. Simple as that, man, honestly. But, trying to see if there's anything else I want to talk about in this episode or not. Oh, actually, that was some good news. Mitch McConnell's ass got hospitalized after falling the other day, which is karma for that motherfucker literally going out there and bitching and moaning about how America needs to support Ukraine and the fucking January 6th footage shouldn't be released and all this other bullshit. And it's like, go fuck yourself, you old rhino crackhead. That's exactly what you are, Mitch McConnell. And honestly, the fact that McConnell has been a Chi-Com fuckboy for decades now, has 100% been in China's pocket for decades now, hasn't been removed from office by force at this point, been on its disqualified on 20th Amendment, etc., dude, is everything wrong with this country currently, is what it is, dude. So, like, more and more every day, I really want to see a 20th Amendment to the Constitution right now and have it include automatic disqualifications from holding office and from even running for office at this point. Like, basically, anybody that runs on anti-2A or anti-life stuff, like pro-abortion shit, they're disqualified from the running at that point, dude. And if they're already holding office and they're pushing that kind of legislation, or any kind of like, oh, let's fucking, allow these kids to be all transgender at fucking 10 years old or whatever, it's like, nah, man, you're done here. You're done here. And you're probably going to face criminal charges after the fact, if that be the case then. So, yeah, it's just so much child abuse anymore, and it's so fucking disgusting, dude. And it goes back to this cycle of insanity is what it is, dude. We've had the worst thing that happened in this country, honestly, was the disappearing of state hospitals, which happened back in Reagan's administration back in the 80s. You had, I forget exactly what the guy's name was offhand. It was one guy. It was like one fucking judge guy or whatever the case be. And you had, I'm trying to think of the guy's name is offhand. But yeah, it was basically during Reagan's administration. It was like 80, 81, someplace in there. You had, it was this one dude who was like some liberal ass judge back then. And that fucking guy was like, oh, we need to ban all these state hospitals now, or whatever the case be, because there was like, obviously unethical treatment going on in some of them is what it was, with, just deplorable conditions and stuff like that. And just, it was just shitty is what it is. Okay. I'm going to say it like it is. The problem was what they needed to do at the time. They needed to invest the money to actually update said hospitals, maybe fire some workers, get some new people in there and stuff like that, and do it the right way. Instead, they just shut them all down. And because of that, for the past, 35, 40 years or so, you've had all these people that belong in these state institutions running wild, running the streets, homeless encampments, whatever the case be, drug addicts, all that stuff like that now. And they continue to breed and everything else like that too, as well, for that matter. And then you just keep having more mental illness on top of more mental illness, and then it's even worse because then you have all the psych drugs and stuff like that getting to these major city water supplies and stuff like that, and the watersheds and everything else like that. And so you can filter out like all this other shit, but they ain't filtering out all those psych drugs, dude, or the forever chemicals or anything else like that. So what you end up having is a situation now where you have all these dudes, growing up, drinking a glass of fucking tap water, whatever the case be, every day, multiple times a day. And, it's these young males developing, breasts from having estrogen in the supply and stuff like that, or whatever the case be. Or it's these young girls on the flip side of the coin that'll end up hitting puberty at like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old and stuff like that, dude. Like way faster than they should be is what it is. And so you end up having that situation where you then have these people on the left that want to continue to sexualize children all the time. And it's not okay, bro. It's not okay. It's never okay. And then they keep pushing. And a lot of it's coming straight from Hollywood, is what it is, which makes sense when you look at Hollywood and the child molestation ring going on there for decades now is what it is. Since about, I would say, like late 60s, early 70s, somewhere in there. Maybe even before that, for that matter. But yeah, basically, when you actually look at the history of Hollywood in general, and you go back to like the 1940s, 50s, somewhere in there during the McCarthyism and stuff like that, there was a shitload of commies back then, dude, that controlled Hollywood at the time. And that was the thing. McCarthyism should have worked, but the problem was there were so many fucking commies. It was like everywhere you looked, there was commies, basically. And everybody thought McCarthy was nuts and was like gaslighting everybody, but in reality, they were all gaslighting him because they were all communists, is what it was, dude. And so you end up having that be a situation to begin with, and then that eventually led to the drugs and everything else like that, and then eventually these weird like thing with all the child molestation going on there, especially with children actors, is what it is, dude. And the worst thing is there you have that fucked up grooming culture and stuff like that in Hollywood that has then infected into our general public. And when you look at the Hollywood pedophile ring and the potential of U.S. government pedophile ring, and they're both sort of intertwining each other, is what it is there for at least the last several decades, is what it is. And yeah, it's some real sick shit, man. This is the thing I've been going down for at least the past like 5, 6, 7 years now. Actually, I think about it, it's probably more like 10 years almost now, because it's been since about 2015-ish or so, give or take, is when I started to look into this shit. And yeah, it's bad news, man. Like once you start digging down that rabbit hole, bro, like it is a fucking whole new world basically of just sick and disgusting behavior is what it is, dude. And it amazes you when you start seeing the shit pop off. And of course, we had Seth Green be one of these people that was groomed over the years and decades and stuff like that. And then eventually he became a predator himself. You had Isaac Cappy, who was his friend, out him, and then Cappy was killed on a bridge someplace, and I believe it was either Arizona or New Mexico, one of those two. I forget. I can't remember which state it was offhand. But it was basically they claimed to committed suicide off like some bridge embankment or whatever the case be, which is a total lie. There was two guys that tossed him off a fucking bridge, is what it was, dude. And this was right after he outed both Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg as pedophiles. So, yeah, it's a whole big fucking thing there. And of course, you have people like Corey Feldman that won't do that stuff because that's their last nickel and dime is what it is, dude. Is they know that he knows his career is over at this point. And he's like, oh, well, I got nothing left except for this, one secret of these people that actually raped Corey Haim is what it was back in the day. And, wants to grift on that as much as possible, which is kind of disgusting, honestly, in a lot of ways. Because the thing is, like, I guarantee you, if Corey Feldman had done his job there like 10 years ago or so and done what Isaac Cappy did, Feldman would still be alive today, obviously, because he would have been protected by other good people, is what it is. And I think the biggest problem with Hollywood in general is it's not, the fact that you have like X, Y, and Z thing where everybody's a child molester kind of thing. It's you have these people that maybe there's like a couple of dozen in the industry or something like that, which I'm guessing it's more like a couple hundred at this point, honestly, that are in the industry there who are, the cast and couch folks and stuff like that is what it is, dude. And it's those people who actually are hardcore child molesters. And then meanwhile, you have, this A-list star, a bunch of A-list stars, whatever it is, who, maybe they did some shady shit to get to where they're at. Maybe they were at a party. And this is the thing, going back to what Isaac Cappy said before his, murder is what it was. He was talking about how one time he was actually at a party in the Hollywood Hills, and it was basically this family that walked in with their young son. And this kid was like, I think 8 or 9, maybe 10 at most, is what Cappy said. And he was talking about how they were looking for Seth Green, and Seth Green was not in the country at the time. He was filming some movie overseas, is what it was. And Cappy realized that what they were trying to do was they were trying to get him to go into a bedroom with this kid to get sick ass pedophile shit on him. And he dipped the fuck out immediately, dude. He's like, nope. And that's the thing. I guarantee you, it's very similar situations with a lot of these A-list stars. It might not be that they're, trying to get stuff on these people like that way or whatever. It could easily be, and I've said this before on this channel, where you have people who are, like a Ben Affleck or a Matt Damon or something like that, that will hook up with some chick at a party, be told she's like 18 or 20, whatever the case be. And then it turns out she's like 14, 15. And that's the thing. Boom, they got you. It's like, nah, dude, she told me she was legal age. I didn't realize anything different. And then you find out like totally different or whatever the case be. And they're like, oh, if you go out on stage or whatever the case be and announce 50 names of actual pedophiles in this industry, we're just going to make your life a living hell kind of thing. And I think that's the problem right now. You have that mutually assured destruction in Hollywood to where if you were to out these people, if you were one of these A-listers that went on camera and outed a bunch of people and stuff like that, you would have, well, first off, two things would happen. You would have a bunch of lawsuits going against you, and that's another thing that they fear, I think, is being, bankrupted and stuff like that through massive lawsuits, even though you're totally saying the truth is what it is. And then secondly, it would be them outing your secrets is what it would be then. And I think that's exactly what the same thing with the U.S. government right now, honestly, dude. You don't have like, 1,000 fucking molesters. You have like 100 fucking molesters, and you have like 900 enablers is what it is. And I think that's the biggest problem right now. It's the pedophile enablers in this country are worse than the pedophiles themselves because they're the ones that continue to hide the secrets and are the ones that continue to allow this shit to happen. And that's the worst part of it all is, like, yeah, obviously it's disgusting and it's perverted and everything else like that for the people doing these crimes, and they should be held to account, obviously. But the thing is, it's like, who's actually worse in that situation? The person actually doing it, which probably is the case actually, or is it the person that's enabling that to happen by standing back and doing nothing and not saying a damn word is what it is, dude. And that's the problem right there, is you have so many of those types that are just going to sit on their hands and do nothing because if they do something, it's like, oh, well, there's my career done or whatever the case be. And that's the kind of shit that just pisses me off to no end every day, honestly, dude, is just knowing that crap is happening all over Hollywood and all over our country and everything else like that, man. And the worst part of it is that you now, and the biggest issue is that people are starting to fight back a little bit, but not as much as they should be, is what it really is. And I think, unfortunately, what we're seeing currently is you're seeing some of these bills go overboard in some cases, but in reality, in other cases, they're not going far enough, is what it is. And by that, I mean, you have the pendulum swing happening to where some of it's going far enough, some of it's not going far enough. And then, unfortunately, because it's gone so far one way, that when it does come back and swing back around, it's going to be a whole fucking shit show of authoritarianism. And that's the biggest thing that I fear as a constitutionalist right now, dude. It's just the authoritarianism, the theocracy, et cetera, coming out of the woodwork right now, to where it would be essentially Escape from LA when it's all said and done, or something similar, post-apocalyptic timeline of events kind of thing or whatever there, or like a Judge Dredd, or not Judge Dredd, but a got my Stallone movies mixed up. Demolition Man kind of feature is what it is, where you have like this pussified society on top, and everybody's microchipped and everything else like that. And it seems like more and more we're heading towards that universe right now, which is not good either. And yeah, it's just not fun, man. Really, really not fun to think about. And then the problem really comes down to being the fact that you have all that shit taking place in a vacuum, to where you now have this kind of crap coming out where it's like, oh, you got, this fucking power lifter that wants to compete against chicks. And it's like, that's not what it's about, dude. It's about having a distinct advantage over biological females, is what it is. And then meanwhile, here in Ohio, you have a kid who was like one of like, I think 3 or 4 kids in Ohio sports is what it is right now at a high school level and shit like that, that claims to be transgender and is competing on a girls softball team. And they're like, well, if Ohio puts these fucking bills through to ban guys in sports, then that just fucks me over. And it's like, are you pitching on that girls team? Are you winning because you're pitching on that girls team? Maybe you shouldn't be on that girls team, kind of thing, And meanwhile, it's like, if you're not, like, whatever, dude. It's like, sorry, sucks to be you, kid. Maybe your fucking mother shouldn't have much house by proxy, is what it is, seriously. And that's what it is in many cases, by the way. It's the undiagnosed mental illness of the parent, specifically the biological mother in that case, where they're just mentally nuts, is what it is, dude. And and most of the time it's them trying to turn their young sons into daughters because they're really wanted a daughter, instead of going out there and actually, putting the cash together to adopt a daughter out of the system. It's like, no, let me turn my son into a daughter now. And it's just purely disgusting. And I'm actually surprised that we haven't started seeing like a correlation with a rash of, I'm trying to think what it's called now. I want to say infanticide is what it's called, but I'm not sure. Where it'd be like the parents being killed by the kids and stuff. Yeah, I can't remember. That might be something else, actually. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that might be the opposite of that, actually, because I'm thinking about it now, and I think infanticide would be the parent killing the child then. But yeah, whatever the actual thing is, where it's like the child killing the parent kind of thing, or whatever. I'm surprised you haven't seen like a rash of that happening right now, dude, because of just like these kids just being like, "Oh my god, what did you do to me?" kind of thing, or whatever the case be, and then just finally lashing out and going like full Mexican Joker on their parent or whatever. Then, so yeah, it's just sad either way. But I just feel like we're definitely living through a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah right now. And I think we're definitely heading towards dark days ahead, is what it is. And I would not be surprised to see things get worse and worse before they ever get better in this country. And it does just sadden me. I think we're finally starting to see some pushback, but I don't know if it's already too late or not, really. And like I said, my biggest fear is like the overcorrection, where it's like, okay, let's go, you do that sharp ass turn or whatever, the one way or whatever, and then you just flip the fucking car and it just keeps flipping over and over and over and over again, and then comes to a rest, but it's still like drivable kind of thing, is what it is, dude. And I feel like that's about where we're heading right now. It's like we've, done like that hard right turn kind of thing, or whatever the case be, and the car is just like starting to tilt for the first time or whatever to do like the first flip or something like that. And yeah, needless to say, it would not be good. It would not be good when it happens then. So, but yeah. And I think it's funny too, by the way. One thing I've noticed in the last week or so too is with all these leftists, they keep trying to bring up the whole Hitler and Nazism shit and everything else like that when comparing people like DeSantis to that shit or whatever the case be, or it's like somebody else on the right for that matter. Like, it was always like Trump was Hitler kind of thing or whatever the case be as well for these people. And it's funny to me because it's 100% gaslighting from the fucking left at this point, dude, because they're the ones doing all this Hitlerian shit is what it is, dude. They're the ones sitting there trying to push for this whole, gender superiority crap of, trans people and stuff like that. And, it's like, oh, only white people can be racist kind of bullshit and everything else like that. Meanwhile, you got that one girl on Twitter, if you guys have followed my Twitter account in the last couple of days now, Um, there was this one dumb bitch on Twitter who was basically saying, "Oh, if you're white, you're inherently racist," and it's like, what the hell kind of black supremacist shit is that? Like, seriously, dude, it's just so fucking ridiculous, and it's just pure. It's fucking pure insanity from these people, dude. It really is, and I'm just fucking sick and tired of it. I personally just had it with these fucking people, and I think honestly a lot of other people have for that matter too. And thank God people are finally starting to report on this. What it is, dude. You know, I give a lot of credit to the chick that doesn't live a TikTok account because she has outed so much of the insanity in this country in the last couple of years, dude, and continue to be attacked for it by Soros funded douchebags like the ACLU and ADL and stuff like that. Meanwhile, you got fucking SPLC's people being Antifa terrorists and shit and getting off with like $5,000 bonds now, which is absolutely ridiculous. For those that haven't heard about that one, by the way, there was a guy that was part of that Stop Cop City thing there in Georgia. He was a known Southern Poverty Law Center lawyer guy, was busted as one of the Antifa terrorists there, and then was let go like the next day with a $5,000 bond after getting tried with domestic terrorism. And it's like, what the fuck does that make any sense for, dude? Like, what the hell is the point of being arrested for domestic terrorism? You're just gonna let the guy off the fucking hook the next day with a short ass small bond, is what it is, dude. Like, talk about flight risk, talk about fucking, dangerous society is what it is as a whole. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Fire that fucking asshole judge and prosecutor that let that guy off with that short ass bond, dude. So, just ridiculous, man. Of course, we always see the two sides society as well now with the fucking, if you want to do anything as a leftist terrorist, you can do whatever the fuck you want now. But meanwhile, God forbid you say the wrong thing to somebody on the right or the center for that matter, and oh my God, you're fucking Hitler now, apparently. It's like, okay then, whatever, losers. Fucking come up with a better dictator, man. Like a Stalin or a Mao or a Pol Pot or something like that, for God's sakes. I mean, hell, Che Guevara was a pretty good dictator for that matter. He took the guns and killed everybody after the fact as well on that one, dude. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Pinochet was technically a dictator, but he was only a dictator because he killed commies. So, good old free helicopter rides. But anyway, I don't know, man. I feel like something's about to pop off. I just don't know when right now. I wish I knew an exact date, honestly. Like, that's the one thing I wish that my precognition powers for when I'm dreaming it off and on and stuff like that would actually come to fruition finally. And I could start like harnessing the shit properly to where it would be like actually nailing down dates and stuff and like having like future dreams of like when exactly something's gonna pop off and stuff like that. So I could know the exact date, know exactly how much time I had ready to get all my shit together and stuff like that and be ready and be prepared and just be, doing what I need to do then for that time period then. And make sure that like a few days before that, all the family's together and like safe in the same places would it be then. So I don't know anymore. It's just a sad situation all the way around. And like I said, it really does bother me, man. It really, really does. It bothers me quite a bit to know like just how far we've gone at this point as a country and how all it takes is like one scumbag ass fucking, activist ass judge or whatever the case be to come out there and be like, oh no, this thing is unconstitutional, or oh, this is totally bullshit. I'm going to rule with this fucking person because I'm getting paid off by some people, is what it is. It's a bunch of crap, dude. It's like the same thing with Missouri and the Second Amendment Preservation Act being deemed unconstitutional by some leftist ass judge who I guarantee should have been disbarred a long time ago. And the big thing there is with that whole thing, you have a situation where that is 100% going to be ruled constitutional the second it hits one of these appeals courts, like the Eighth Circuit, or whether it be that one or even the Supreme Court for that matter, under the Bruin ruling. So, anyway, but yeah, it's just fucking infuriating beyond belief just to see all this shit happening. But other than that, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll be back probably, let's say Thursday, probably Saturday, Sunday, somewhere in there. Until then, I will see you guys in the next one.